Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Howard, and welcome to S&J Today's podcast, South Jersey Stories, where we get beneath the surface of the news stories and topics we're still talking about. With me is Ahmed Graziel, a reporter for S&J Today newspaper. He just met with Chaplin Joe Bednarski, aka Chaplin Joe, and learned about his past life as a member of the Ku Klux Klan. He shares his story of hate and love in the most recent issue of S&J Today's newspaper. The following interview was conducted at the Beth-El AME Church in Millville in January 2017. Jeff Swachter, S&J Today's chief content editor, was also involved in this interview. All right, Ahmed, so my first question is just how did you find this story?
The story found me. I'll have to say, the story found me. Long story short, I had a flat tire while I was at work at S&J Today. I was leaving work. I saw that I had a flat tire. It wasn't too bright, but I tried to drive to the Wawa down the street to pump up the tire, but I didn't quite make it there. I ended up at Chow's Buffet. So I was at Chow's Buffet. I decided to call AAA for assistance, of course. And I decided to eat there because I'm like, hey, if I'm going to be stuck somewhere at a restaurant, I might as well fill the belly. So in the meantime, this gentleman comes up to me. I was wearing an S&J Today jacket. So he says, oh, do you work at S&J Today? And I said, yes, I do, sir. Come to find out, he was at the accident scene where Kara McCullum had gotten into an accident a few years prior. So he showed me some pictures and told me a little story. He was an investigator at that time. And it was a pretty interesting experience. He was very open to just come up to me and tell me that little story. So I'm sitting in the booth. He walks away. I'm sitting in the booth. Then I go up to the what do you call that place? The place where you pay the
register.
Yeah, thank you. They were very nice to me because I felt like I was there for a very long time. I love AAA, but sometimes they take a long time. So I was talking about my car, and the same gentleman who walked up to me previously, said, "Oh, is that your tire?" And I said, "Yes." He parked next to me. So we had another little conversation, and then I went back to the booth. With the guidance and the help of Chow's Buffet, they allowed me to stay there and wait. So then the gentleman comes back to me and he says, by the way, I have a story to tell you. And I said, what's that, sir? And he said, I was a former KKK member, and I now work at a church, and I'm a security guard for an African-American pastor. And I said, can you repeat that, sir? And he said the story again. I said, here's my card. This sounds like a story. So basically gave him my card. He actually ended up helping me when AAA came as well. He was a very nice fellow, but it's a very intriguing story, and that's pretty much how that got started.
He was very open about his past life.
Very open.
Was that surprising to you?
No, because initially, since he first came up to me and told me all that, I wasn't surprised that he got in depth later, because it appeared as though that he really wanted the story to be told. And by the grace of the universe, I was there when that happened. By the grace of the flat tire.
Why do you think he wanted his story to be told?
That's a good question. One of the reasons why I believe he wants his story to be told is because I think he's still struggling with his past, and he's repenting. In his mind, he's repenting every single day. But he also wanted people to know about how bad the Ku Klux Klan is, and organizations like that. They're just not good. So he doesn't want young people to fall into the same path that he had went to. And he just wants to share. He wanted to share his story about where he is now, and it's all about love.
So while you were interviewing Joe, was there anything that stood out to you?
Well, he's like 6'6", like 300 something pounds. So that stood out. Just telling me about some history of the Ku Klux Klan, and telling me a little bit about some of the history in Cumberland County regarding the Ku Klux Klan. That was kind of, I'm not even going to say it was an eye-opener. It wasn't really surprising. However, him talking about that, it was definitely intriguing, for lack of a better word. I'd like to say that this was definitely a challenging interview for me personally, because what I like to do is, when I interview a subject, I like to do research on everything that I can, so I could be as truthful and have the story very meaty. So I had to do some research on the Ku Klux Klan. I had to look at some of their history, and I had to look at some of the things that they have done, which, being an individual of African descent, and knowing what they did to some of my ancestors, it was a little bit painful. But at the end of the day, to see this man, what he had done previously, and to see him change, like, it's not up to me to forgive him, but I can say that I love the brother, and he loves me as well.
Was it emotionally draining or spiritually draining?
It was. I had to put up my spiritual force field because it was draining. That, like, doing the research, listening to some of the stories that he told me as well. Yeah, it was spiritually draining, but this story needs to be told, so we can all understand that we are all brothers and sisters, and that we should all love each other and help each other and unite instead of being divided. When did you join the Ku Klux Klan?
I joined when I was 18 years old.
18?
Yeah, that was back in 87.
What compelled you to join the Klan at 18?
Well, when I was younger, at the age of 14, there was a gentleman that had a Confederate flag down the street from where I lived at. I lived in the projects, Wade East Apartments. And I was just getting into photography. My parents had brought me a 35 millimeter camera. So I approached this gentleman and asked if I could take a picture of his flag, because I was fascinated with American history. And I thought it was unique. It stood out. I said, why would there be a Confederate flag in New Jersey?
And at Wade East?
Yeah, down the street from me.
Down the street.
And I said, how? And little did I know that this person was a KKK member. Now, he had children that were my age. So I became friends with them, and they kind of like took me in. I didn't have a close relationship with my father, so I spent a lot of time with this family. So, like I tell other people that I speak to, this is when the brainwashing process started.
Brainwashing. What was a part of the brainwashing process?
Well, part of the brainwashing process is that you could be proud of your race. We're a family atmosphere. So I spent a lot of time there with the family because he had children that were my age. So, went over, ate dinner, spent the night, spent a lot of time. And my parents were unaware of this, even though my parents were good parents, they worried about where we were. Mm-hmm. We didn't wander in neighborhoods. They always knew where we were. So they started to feed me literature about the Klan, about its history, about what it was about. Now, at first, the hatred, they left that out, right? Yeah, they left that out. And until I really didn't experience the hatred until I became a member at the age of 18.
So basically, you were being quote unquote brainwashed for 4 years.
Yes. And that's a process that happens in all the gangs. I think the brainwashing process, they're looking for a sense of belonging, because the parents aren't spending a lot of time with their children nowadays. Back then, it was a little bit different, but nowadays the children running the streets, doing what they want. Parents are busy working. They don't have time for their children. So these children are looking for a sense of belonging. So they join these gangs like the Crips and the Bloods and the Latin Kings, MS-13, and we have all these gangs that are here local. Now.
In Millville.
Yeah.
That's crazy. To go back a little bit, what was your parents' occupation for you to be living in Wade East?
Well,
occupations.
My father my father worked at Kerr Glass. This was back when Wade East was still nice. And my mother was just a caretaker, took care of the house and the housewife. And
so what was the orientation process? Like, did you have to, you were 18 and then you officially joined the Klan?
Yeah, officially joined, filled out an application.
You have to fill out an application?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of anybody getting denied?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know I'd probably get denied.
Yeah, you had to be of a European descent.
How do they check that?
Well, today they check it through DNA, but back then it was just your ancestry records. You had to provide have some kind of proof of what country you were from. What European countries you were from. You could have been mixed with anything. You could have been, you could have been Jewish or Catholic or, back in the day, the Klan didn't accept Catholics.
Right, or Jews.
Mainly like European, like Ireland, England, countries like that. Any kind of. The Klan was started as an organization. As an American organization. It was supposed to be a patriotic organization. Actually started in 1865 in Pulaski, Tennessee, in the law office, where 5 Confederate soldiers met and started it, and then they nominated General Nathan Bedford Forrest, which was a general in the Tennessee Army, and he was nominated to be the first national leader. And then there's a misconception about General Forrest. He seen the violence that was starting because after the Civil War, they rode in white sheets and stuff because a lot of the people thought that they were the ghost of the dead Confederate soldiers coming back, to taunt the African Americans that were just recently freed from slavery. But he actually disbanded the Klan a year or so after it started, and then it may have been a few years, and then there was a revival of the Klan in 1915 by Joseph William Simmons, and that's when the Klan grew into its largest membership was probably, I'm just guessing, maybe 7 million, 8 million members. They had Warren G. Harding, which was the president. They were swearing people in the White House, and there was governors and mayors, and everybody was involved in it.
Right.
So, and then that died in the after early 30s, and then there was splinter groups. I say during the Civil Rights era, one of the biggest clans was the United Klans of America. Robert Shelton was the Imperial Wizard. He got sued by a black woman. They had killed one of her relatives, and she sued the United Klans of America, and they successfully won the case. And that was probably the last big organized Klan was back during the Civil Rights era. I mean, the Klan has always existed. It still exists today.
Yeah, we see
It
that.
operates here in New Jersey still.
How big is it in New Jersey?
I would probably say anywhere from here locally in the tri-state area, maybe 5,000 members.
Wow.
They see when I left the Klan, you have to understand that the Klan is operated and ran on a scale like our United States government is ran. So when I called for a meeting and met with the supportive board members, my vice president was against it and did not attend that meeting. And he now runs the Klan here in New Jersey, so it still operates. Matter of fact, I was recently called a few years ago to testify for the state of New Jersey, where he had moved from city to city and forgot to put that he was a Klan member on his gun permit application. I testified that he was a member of the Klan. They denied him his permit, so he's not allowed to buy any kind of ammunition. Even though he still has his gun permit, he can't buy ammunition.
You have to say that you're a Ku Klux Klan member.
Well, whenever you apply for a gun permit or anything like that, they ask you on the application, are you a member of any organization that would have a conflict with the Constitution or the government?
He can still get ammunition from his boys.
Yeah, well, he had a stockpile anyway, so he had
Just makes it a pain.
he had thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition in his house. I mean, he had a whole room that was full of guns and
So the 5,000 members, what do they want to do? What do they?
Well, the agenda today is they preach, or they teach publicly that they see the Klan today. They've changed their stand as far as publicly. They say, oh, we're just proud of who we are. We're just proud of our race. We encourage other people to be proud of the race, but behind closed doors, it's about hatred. You know what I'm saying? The Klan is a hate organization and always will be a hate organization, no matter how much they sugarcoat it and try to make it look like my friend David Duke. Well, he's not a friend of mine, but he used to be an associate of mine down in Louisiana. I don't know where. I think he's hiding in Russia now from the government. But he's a good candidate for powder sugarcoating. We're just European Americans and we want to be proud of who we are. You know what I'm saying? But behind closed doors, I guarantee him and Don Black, which run Stormfront, the largest forum on the internet, they preach hatred behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? So the appearance that I put on in public was one thing, but then behind closed doors, I hated everybody. I hated it, even including myself.
And how did he take that out?
Well, it wasn't until I had a supernatural encounter with Jesus on a hot summer night in July of 2015. I was watching the 700 Club, and Pat was on there, and he was talking. And
Pat Robertson?
Yeah, he did. This was a pre-recorded show, so he had a vision from God, and he says, there's a Klan leader out there. He's going to be indicted. He's not happy with his life. He's a guy probably going to go to prison for the rest of his life or end up dead. So he was talking to me, I was just convicted. See, I went to church. My mom made us go to church when we were kids, so I knew what the Bible said, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I knew it was wrong. Most of the time when you join these hate groups, it's all about a power trip, you know what I'm saying? About power, about power over other people. See, when you live outside of not knowing Jesus, you have that hatred. We're all born with it. And God took that hatred, that heart that was full of hatred, and gave me a heart full of His love. Now, that night when I gave my heart to Jesus, God healed me instantly and took the hatred away that I had towards other people of other cultures and races. But then I had to learn how to adapt and coexist, you know what I'm saying, to deal with these people on a daily basis. And that took time. You don't go to bed one night singing Kumbaya, and wake up the next morning singing Kumbaya with everybody. You don't wake, you know what I'm saying, you don't go to bed at night and do that. It's a process, so you have to learn, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So the Bible tells us that when we become born again, we become new creatures. Old things are passed away and all things are new. So I started a new journey. So I had to reprogram my mind by reading the Word of God. You know what I'm saying? Now I am who I am today. If you would have knew me back then, I would have shot you and your kids and your wife and thought nothing of it and slept a good night's sleep. That's just kind of person I was. I was a very nasty person. Now I'm a very loving and gentle person. Most people that are involved in hate groups like the Klan hate themselves, and they have hatred within them. Now I grew up in the projects, so what fueled that anger and that hatred was there was two boys that I grew up with, and we would fight every day when we get off the bus. And that fueled my anger. I was just telling the pastor.
They were African Americans?
Yes. And that, I was just telling the pastor that he gets his hair cut. One of the guys is a barber here locally, and I'm good friends with him now. One of the boys, you know. Mm-hmm. So that fueled the anger, you know what I'm saying, towards the African American race. Plus what the Klan embedded into my brain for 4 years before.
What did they say about African Americans?
Well, that they were less than human. They were, you know what I'm saying, they were no good. They weren't of God. You know, not nonsense. If you actually sit down and think about it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, but they actually get people to believe. They hated black people. They think that they should have still been in slavery. I was just listening to the chat the other day on the internet, and they really hate the fact that I go to an African American church and I'm a bodyguard and security for a black man, you know what I'm saying? It burns them up. They can't comprehend it. They got so much hatred, you know what I'm saying? They don't see that we all bleed the same color blood, you know, that we're all members of the human race, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Not recently, they haven't threatened me, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, were you fearful of any repercussions that may occur from anyone, any former fellow Klans member?
Well, there was a bomb threat. One night I'm at home and my wife was in church. We lived in Millville and our church was in Vineland, and they called and they said, there's a bomb on your car. We rigged your car up. So I called my wife. I said, don't get nowhere near the car. Call the police and stay away from the car. Kind of find out there was a pipe bomb underneath the car. So yeah. So.
When was that?
See, I started going probably somewhere, I don't know, maybe 2000. So we got married in September 2008, so it would have been around maybe somewhere around 2009, maybe 2010, probably 9, because I had surgery in 2010. Yeah, and they make threats, you know what I'm saying? Like the person that was my bodyguard was also a member of a local motorcycle gang that I belonged to, and he was Robert Woodward. He's dead now. He died. But I met him in a parking lot, and my wife was with me, and he always carried a knife and a gun with him. So we were going to fight. We were going to fight right there in the parking lot. Then my wife started praying, and I said, Lord, you got to take care of this matter. So God diffused it. I went up to him. I said, look, I said, you can think what you want to think, you know, you can do what you want to do. I said, but I'm not going to fight you. I said, the Lord fights my battles. I said, I do all my fighting on my knees in prayer. Like something humbled him, you know, something came over him. I don't know if it was a fear that came over him or what, but whatever happened, I never seen him back down from fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was a big guy like me, and he was a captain in the motorcycle gang, the Outlaws. So that was pretty neat. Now, when I first joined the Klan, a few years after I joined, I think in the early 90s, me and another member, we joined the Invisible Empire. That's the oldest Klan group in America. And then we seen that they weren't running things the way that they were supposed to run things by the Koran, which is the laws and bylaws of the Klan.
Say that again?
The Koran.
The Cloran?
Yeah, I don't know the correct spelling. I have a copy of it at the house. But so we challenged them.
Interesting.
So we told them they didn't like the fact that we challenged them, the fact that they were meeting and getting drunk and not doing what they're supposed to do. So they told us that we should go on our way. So they were going to kill us then. So the Nighthawk, the security officer, thought it was wrong that they were going to try to kill us. And he went to the state police, and the state police asked him if he would wear a wire. So he wore a wire, and they started an investigation. They had enough evidence that they convicted them all. They all did. I think the Grand Dragon one did 5 years in state prison. They all got convicted. You know what I'm saying? Plus, they threatened a boy that was in school, and one of the members was a school teacher. So they got in trouble for that. You think I would have learned my lesson and not pursued the direction I was going in?
So before, when you said you were real angry, and I asked, how did you take it out? I meant, like, how did you get that out? How did you?
Well, we committed acts of violence towards people because of the statute of limitation on some things. I can't discuss things that happen, but I have to live my life knowing that I did physically order people to be hurt physically, and crosses burnt on people's lawns. I can't believe that I was that person at one time, you know what I'm saying? But I have to live my life, the rest of my life, knowing that I've hurt people, you know what I'm saying? Behind closed doors, he teaches hatred. To teach separation of the human race is a form of hatred. And he's a pastor. Now, pastors are going to be held more accountable.
Right.
On Judgment Day. He doesn't, and I'm sure he knows that, and I address him. I said, Pastor Rob needs to ask God for forgiveness, and, I said, because for him to teach that the white race is better than anybody else is sin. Sin. You can't preach separation. You know what I'm saying?
Where's that in the Bible?
Well, the Bible in John, it tells, 1 John, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd chapters, it tells us how we're to love our neighbors.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
How we're to love, It's not in the Bible. He's talking. They're probably basing it on the Tower of Babel, where God, where they spoke different languages, and then God spread the Israelites all over because they wanted to be like the other people. You know what I'm saying? That's probably where they're getting the segregation and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because up to that, the Israelites were segregated people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So. But they're not. The white race isn't God's chosen people. The God's chosen people are the Israelites, you know what I'm saying? Which is taught in the Bible. So, and then you got skinheads, and then you got neo-Nazism, and you got...
How is that all linked in today's? So there's a lot of media about...
Well, they're not... The Klan should never have associated itself with neo-Nazism. My father fought in World War II against the Nazis and was missing in action for 14 days in Normandy, France.
It's another big hypocrisy.
Yeah, they believe in National Socialism, and they believe that the Nazi Party, the rules of the Nazi Party, and which is hatred. They want to do away with everybody that's not of the pure race. You know what I'm saying? Which Hitler thought was the blue-eyed blonde. You know what I'm saying?
And the funny thing is that he wasn't blue-eyed or blonde himself.
No, he was a very confused individual. If you read about him, he suffered with depression and all kinds of stuff. I think he was actually a madman, if you ask me, by reading everything I've read about Hitler.
I think he probably was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how could you exterminate all those people? Over 6 million Jews, you know what I'm saying? And then go over there. I went over there to Poland, where one of the biggest camps was, you know what I'm saying? And see all those shoes and see all those, you know, pocketbooks, and they would even cut their hair off, piles of hair, you know what I'm saying? And it's just terrible.
When did you go there?
Probably 2000, right after 2013. So,
why did you go there?
Well, it's my native land, Poland. But I wanted to go to that concentration camp.
Looks like it had a profound effect on you.
Yeah.
So to go back, you said that you used to order people. To hurt people and burn crosses. So, what was your role as a member of the Ku Klux Klan?
Well, for years I was a state leader, which is a Grand Dragon. It's funny how the Lord works. I got saved in July of 2005. Backslid in 2006. Backsliding, like I turned my back on God. I was still a member of the Klan. I didn't shut the Klan down until March 27th of 2007. So, in the process, I was a state leader, a Grand Dragon. In September of 2006, the national leader seat opened up because the Imperial Wizard passed away, and I was encouraged to run for office, and I ran for office and won.
You won.
Yeah, so what the devil intended for bad, God used for good, because with that power, it gave me power to shut down all operations in the 18 states that we were operating in, and the 20,000 members that we had. I would say 25% of the membership left with me when I resigned my position.
Really? So yes. you were able to use your power to almost decimate.
Yes. The Klan's never operated in Cumberland County on a level, or even here in South Jersey. You don't even hear them doing leaflet. They take the plastic bags and put the literature in it, and they put a rock in it to weigh it down and throw it on people's lawns like the morning paper, but they don't have any courage to come out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
In Cumberland County, you said?
Yeah, or New Jersey, period. I haven't heard of them of a rally. You know, we were in a process before I resigned my position. We were in a process of having a big rally in Hamilton, New Jersey. We were actually having the debates back and forth before. We were going to the public meetings, and they were telling us we needed this, and we were telling them we didn't need that, and we didn't need insurance, and we didn't, they said we had to get a $2 million policy for insurance, and it was unconstitutional. We challenged them, told us we'll go to court if you want to go to court. That they seen that was wrong, and we were going to win, so that we called off that rally. We were heading to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, where there was a big issue going on with the mayor there. We were going to go there. So,
and representing Cumberland County?
Representing the Klan on a national level. See, what you have to realize is the Klan was a secret organization. Without saying too much, there were high officials in Cumberland County that were members of the Klan. Police chief, judges, lawyers, doctors, people that were which had power, here in the local government. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that still exists today in Cumberland County?
No, I believe that most of the old timers have retired. I think there's still a little bit, but not on the level it was. We're talking judges on a Supreme Court, on a Superior Court level in New Jersey, police officers, lawyers, you know what I'm saying? People that were here locally, that a percentage of these members, I would say a percentage of the members here statewide almost everybody left on the national board. Almost everybody left on the state level when I resigned my position. When I sent you them letters, when I signed them, when I post-dated them and said effective midnight, those members left with me and are living normal lives now. You know what I'm saying? Not all of them are Christians, but they're living a happy life. They're not living that life of hatred that they lived at one time.
So actually you helped them to see the light. You brought them into the light, so to speak.
Well, I believe God brought them into the light. Yeah, but God used me to tell them, to show them that this is the life we should be living. We're either going to bed or we're going to end up in prison or something's going to happen to us. It ain't good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like where I live at, that's an appointment of God. Like how can I live in a place like that? That people respect me because of the position I hold now. You know what I'm saying? They can honestly see that I changed my life. That's what people want to see. When people make corrections in their lives, people want to see that they do good. There were skeptics when it first happened, but now it's been March 27th, 2017 will be
10 years.
10 years.
That's like what you were saying earlier. You had to adapt. Like you couldn't just go to sleep one day being a Ku Klux Klan hatred person and then love the next day.
And it's a process every day to deal with people, to become a better person. And the love that I'm talking about that God gives us when He takes that heart that's hardened it's called an agape love. That only
adopted love.
It's three types of love. And agape is a love that God only can give you. That no other people on the earth obtain this love. If you look up the different loves that the Bible talks about, and agape love is the love that God gives us that we're capable of loving other people. See, outside of the love of God, we're not capable of loving others the way that we should love.
Right.
See, we were designed to have fellowship with God. You know what I'm saying? And then sin entered into the world through Adam and Eve. And now we have sickness, and we have sin, and we have diseases. We have all kinds of depression, you name it, all those bad things, hatred, all that stuff's of the devil. It's not good. But the light always conquers darkness.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I wanted to go back to one thing that's what African Americans were fearful of when you were talking about like the Klan. There were Klan members that were judges, that were cops, lawyers. So it's like I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's like they would feel that the law was set up against them, that they couldn't get an equal right.
Well, there still is the law. They're still like prejudiced. Look at these cops. How quick they are to shoot young black men, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm sure it happens, vice versa, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying, they're always made, I feel that the African-American race is made to feel that they're still third-class citizens, that they're not equal to, but see, the Bible says that we are all created in the image of God.
All of us.
Even the slave owners and all that, the people. How can you say that? How can our founding fathers feel that they're more important than the African American people? And when the Bible tells us that we're all created in the image of God.
Right. All. Not one, not two, all. It's interesting. Going back a little bit again, did being in the Klan make you feel special and important? Did it make you feel powerful?
Yeah.
Like you had a purpose?
Yeah. Like I told you, it's about a power trip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Having that authority, to make orders and for things to happen. When in fact, it's stupid because the Bible teaches that whoever is first will be last in the kingdom of God. So, I'm kind of humble now. I consider myself last because I want to be first. You know what I'm saying? I live a very humble lifestyle now. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I have enough to live comfortably, you know what I'm saying? I've had riches and I've been poor. I've seen both ends, you know.
Once again, did you enjoy being in the Klan? At that time, I mean, because you were in there for a long time.
Yeah, I guess I did. I guess I enjoyed living the life of sin. Because I have to think of it from a Christian aspect when I look back on it now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think that we all enjoy living in sin. You know what I'm saying, and not living a godly life. You know, like we're intended to live. But like I said, a power trip. You know, a lot of money involved with it. You know?
What do you mean?
Well, because there's people pay dues. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I got a salary. You know what I'm saying? If you want to think of it as a salary, just like the president of the United States gets. You know, everybody gets paid for doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived a pretty good lifestyle.
What was your salary?
Well, I wouldn't call it a salary, but I drove around in a Bentley and had a $650,000 home out in Pittsburgh Township.
How much?
$650,000 home in Pittsburgh Township. I was a general contractor too, so I built houses all my life, you know what I'm saying? So I made good money doing that, you know what I'm saying?
Were most of your customers involved in the Klan, or had nothing to do with it really?
No. A lot of people didn't even know that we were into Klan. Like I would make public appearances once a year or something. You know, we would have a signing of a prayer petition in front of the post office or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, something small. So you got to realize only the top ranking officials were publicly known. Most of the everyday members and the people that were below, that's where our power was and our secrecy, people not knowing who we were. So I happened to actually be told, and because of the incident where we were fighting with the rival clans early on, I publicly became known. So
that was the Invisible
Empire. Yeah, it was the Invisible Empire. That's the original Klan.
So you were kind of known in circles for your fighting against them.
Yeah, we had like the Imperial Wizard J.W. Farrens, which I don't even think he's alive anymore. He gave the orders to have us rubbed out. And Joseph P. Doak was the Grand Dragon at the time. He lived up in Clayton, not far from here.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it national?
That was a state office.
That's state.
J.W. Farrens lived in Connecticut, and he moved down to North Carolina where he retired, which I found out from the Southern Poverty Law Center that he was shooting his mouth off somewhere, and they sued him, and now they own the incorporation papers for the Invisible Empire.
That's one. Why were Klan members fighting other Klan members? I mean, it makes sense because if it's a hate group, then you're going to hate other people.
There's always interfighting in every kind of organization, you know what I'm saying? Or look at our United States government, Democrats, Republicans, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
So there's always one thinks they're better than somebody else, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now there's probably a handful of splinter groups in America, that are probably don't amount to anything. I don't think they have any big membership, you know what I'm saying? Probably the last threats I received was a few years ago from the Northern and Southern Knights. They're out west somewhere. Actually, my vice president that remained in the Klan is now working with them. Just to go show you how much I think about him, I forgot what his name is.
Is that tattoo on your hand?
Yeah, that's a KKK.
For some reason, it reminds me of like a royal arch, almost.
I got tattoos on my body.
Are you ever going to get rid of them? Or are you going to keep them as a reminder?
I use them as educational purposes. Say, oh, you weren't in the... Let me show you. Let me show you something. And those few documents that I sent you, you know, I saved those for educational purposes, and then I burned the rest of the stuff. My robe was burnt. Most of all the documentation, applications were burnt.
Burnt? That you burned them, or they just burned in a fire or something?
No, we burned.
Okay.
Burn them in the fireplace.
It's kind of like a cleansing.
Yeah.
Now, I read that you attempted a couple of rallies and to have a couple Klan rallies in Millville. I remember like being in college in '93. I don't know if you were part of that one. But it was supposed to happen, but then like people rallied against it, so to speak. Were you a part of that?
It was supposed. Well, there was one here that was supposed to take place, and then they issued a warrant for my arrest because they said I didn't show up for court, which I did show up for court. They just wanted to keep me from having a rally.
What do you recall? What year that was?
Sometime in the early '90s.
Okay.
And then we had the rally where it was behind City Hall, and it was a rainy, muddy day, and they were throwing mud at it. Well, see, I said, I ain't wearing my robe. I said, you guys wear your robes if you want. I ain't wearing my robe. They ain't throwing no mud at me. So I dressed in BDUs. You know what I'm saying? I didn't stick out like the rest of them. They were aiming for the white But a riot almost took off because one of the members was arrested because he had a gun. We all had guns on us. They just didn't check us all. You know what I'm saying? And then the crowd started to get restless. So they said, well, we better end this before we have World War III here take place behind City Hall in Millville. So the police escorted us back to our cars. They were angry too, but I could hear them behind us. You know what I'm saying?
Who was angry? The police?
Crowd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they escorted us out of town.
Escorted out of town.
Was that year?
We had a police escort out of town.
How come you didn't go to that one?
I don't. Well, because there was a couple of them. So
that was the Invisible Empire.
Okay. And that was early '90s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like when they escorted you out of town, like they took you to city limits.
Yeah, they took us to city limits and made sure nobody was following us.
He has this one picture that I sent to you where he's in the back. He's in the Klan rally. Like everybody else is wearing robes. Yeah. And he's wearing his regular clothes.
I never wore my robe out in public. I thought it was for ceremonial purposes. I don't know if we were swearing somebody in or something. Plus, I had too much money invested in it. It was a satin robe, a gold satin robe with purple, you know. It was a beautiful robe.
Like a pearl in it, you mean?
It had, well, no, it was gold, and it had purple. I had 5 purple stripes, 5 purple stripes on the bottom, and it had a.
Because of your ranking.
Yeah, and. It was just a beautiful robe. It was nice. I hate
you didn't want to get dirty.
Yeah.
Or mud on.
It's hard to get that dry cleaned.
And you said you were the Imperial Wizard.
Yeah, that's a national leader. In September 2006 until March 2007, 27th of 2007, I was Imperial Wizard, national leader. We operated in 18 states. Most of the money we took after, because it was considered blood money, I thought. You know what I'm saying? It was like the person that betrayed Jesus,
Judas.
30 pieces of silver. You know, so like we donated the money to like local churches and stuff. Just took it in and dropped it into the offering plates. You know, nobody ever knew that
That's awesome.
The money, I'm talking like a lot of money. I can't say how much, but don't need that IRS to come after me.
So you spoke about it briefly earlier, but what was the specific event that changed your way of thinking and gave you the impetus to lead the Klan?
Well, God has always been dealing with my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because remember I told you my mom would make us go to church when we were children. So I knew that it was wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Deep down.
And and after God dealing with me for a number of years, you know, I just gave in, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's called a conviction. When the Holy Spirit moves and convicts somebody of doing something, the Holy Spirit convicts people of things after they become a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Like you have a conscience, like you feel guilty
right.
doing what you're doing. Back then I didn't have a conscience, but now I do.
So with a lot of groups and organizations, once you make an oath to become a part of them, it's hard to get out. How did your former fellow members react when you gave them your resignation?
Well, they were angry. The vice president, he held a press conference the next day, and he sent me this nasty email saying, "Oh, I thought we agreed that you were going to let us use the corporation papers. You know, we were going to continue using the name here, you know, in each state." And I had a change of heart. Like I had a phone conversation with him briefly before midnight, and he kind of like threw around the idea that I was gonna let him do it, but in general, it didn't happen. Everything was disbanded.
I'm still intrigued about the event. I mean, like that what changed? Because that's a real. You're saying like it was kind of inside you the whole time. You definitely have a conscience now.
Yeah, I guess it did. I seen the things how people were treated, and you know, deep down inside, you know, I kind of felt bad. You know, had a heart, I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then we would think about after we did things, we would think about, you know, why we were doing it. It's all part of hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't even think about doing anything, stuff like that now. That's crazy, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just the frame of mind that I was in at the present time. That, yeah, so, I mean, that was it. A supernatural encounter with Jesus. That's what changed my life. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the chapters that's going to be in my upcoming book.
Are you writing the book?
Yeah. It was supposed to come out years ago, but every time I get ready to publish it, I always write a new chapter.
Right.
You know?
It's a continuing story.
Yeah, so.
You gotta cut it out, and then the next one will be chapter.
Yeah, I think it'll be a bestseller. Just haven't did it yet. I've been involved here at the church locally. You know, just took on the role of security here for Bethel. The pastor's wife passed away recently, and the soup kitchen's getting ready to open up at 12. So we do this on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 12 to 2 p.m. So I'm busy doing that. You know.
Is that all year round? Or just...
Yeah, we had a Christmas dinner, we had a Thanksgiving dinner. You know, we feed a lot of people. I mean, like I said, 12 o'clock, if you guys hang around, you'll see that people come in and eat. You know, we serve them.
Yeah.
They eat as many times as they want. You know what I'm saying?
That's
this
awesome.
is like a restaurant. We ain't joking around.
That's where I met you, at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I have one final question for this interview. What would you tell anyone, especially children or young adults, what would you tell them if they had any ideas of joining the Klan? I
would tell them not to make the same mistake that I made by spending over 20 years of your life wasted on a cause that's going nowhere. Hatred is not good. We should love everyone. We should accept people, you know, even though gay and lesbian people, it's a sin that they're living, but I don't hate those individuals. I love them as people, just like Jesus loves them. But we should love everybody. And they should work on goals with the children. They should have a vision for what they want to do in their life, and they should go after that goal and that vision that they have in their life, and to stay in school and to go to college, you know what I'm saying, and make the best out of it they can make themselves, and not get involved in gangs and hatred, because those gangs are only looking for one thing, you know, and for you to do their dirty work. You know, they don't care about you. They don't care about you or anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I do have one. Do you go to schools or anything to teach? Because you said you use these as an educational tool. Is this just something that you do here when you're pastoring, or do you go elsewhere too?
No, I have my own private ministry where I'm speaking at the Violence High School South, Millville. I'm speaking at the Cumberland County College. I speak at a lot of churches, not as much as I used to. So whenever the opportunity arises, I go out and, you know, share my testimony.
Thanks everyone for listening to S&J Today's podcast, South Jersey Stories. Find more local news at snjtoday.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.